If you're not happy with the appearance of the Pop Team Epic anime series, don't worry, this episode makes it clear that it's going to look 100 times better in the Blu-ray version. Another week, another crazy episode of Pop Team Epic, which honestly I think had some of my favorite segments from the entire series. I think this episode was more of a return to form. The last couple of episodes have felt kind of derivative, and while this episode did follow something similar, it gave us something that was a completely different art style. The opening segment is not done in animation. It's done through these two voice actors who are using these pieces of paper which can overlap each other, these giant notebooks, to tell a story, and they do the voice acting throughout the entire thing. And they took the concept from a previous episode of Pop Team Epic. It was a scene where Pee-Pee-Me was daydreaming about some guy named Hellshake Yano, some weird, freaky, Gakuen handsome-looking guy who had a creepy, sharp chin. And we get a Bob Team Epic version of that in this episode right here, which is done in this style where they tell the whole story. And it's honestly the type of thing I can't do justice unless you actually see it, but it's very creative the way that they do it. They don't just turn the pages, they actually interact with them, cut them out in unique shapes, and actually go through this like entire session and try to put it into motion. It's kind of like a ridiculous version of a flip book, and it tells a hilarious story, which is basically just about a super vain rock star who just goes out on stage and rocks the house. But what's funny is it's all a play on that old joke from the previous episode with Pee-Pee-Me, and it ends exactly the same way, just saying that she was thinking about Hellshake Yano. The rest of the episode is exactly what you would expect, a lot of really small scenes that fly at you WarioWare style, and there's a lot of favorites. Let me go ahead and talk about some of mine right now. I really love the one where, for some odd reason, they always just tend to fight each other. It just goes out of nowhere. It's like, we couldn't think of anything funny here, so just make them start fighting and make it ridiculous and over the top. There's a scene where both of Papaco and Pee-Pee-Me are rubbing each other's head, and then they just start suplexing each other for no reason whatsoever. It's just insane. Not to mention, there is a great Pokemon reference at the very end of the episode, which is also referencing another video game. I'm not sure, but it might be Doki Doki Literature Club, which is a game which has been really popular right now, but it's a really great combination of the two franchises, and really, I just thought it was awesome. The rest of the segments, though, are pretty much exactly what you would expect from the rest of the series, just a lot of cuteness and weirdness, and still, it's almost impossible to review material like this. Really, I like doing these videos because I like hearing from you guys and learning what your favorite segments were from the actual episode and what you thought was actually the funniest. As for me, it's kind of hard to decide in this episode right here, but I really got to give it to the first segment, simply for just how creative it is. This combined with some of the previous segments from the other episodes, like the stop-motion sequences. I love seeing stuff like that, and especially when it's utilized in a comedy series, because it's an excuse to do a lot of really weird and experimental things, and sometimes it can pay off, sometimes it can bomb. In this week's episode, I thought it was really funny, especially how in the second half of the episode, the troll half of the episode with different voice actors, they actually do have completely different voices when they are going through that sequence, which is really, really great attention to detail. I still can't believe they decided to go with that with this format, and they've kept it going for so long, but it still manages to be fun. I also still love the previews for the fake anime series Hoshiro Girl Drop because of how authentic and real it is, but I also love how formulaic every single preview is. It's pretty much the same story every time, just with different stories and the love interest getting involved. It was great. But without a doubt, my favorite sequence from this episode was a riff on the fact that a lot of the times when you watch anime that airs on Japanese television, there are times where scenes look really bad in terms of the artwork and the animation, and then later on when they release them on DVD and Blu-ray, they fix them and they make them look significantly better. They really play fun at that in this episode, in this one sequence where there's this dude who's getting ready to jump onto a bicycle, and then Papaco just removes the seat, so he ends up getting that thing shoved right up into his ass. But then it leads to her giving a funny expression. But then it suddenly shifts and transitions to a more realistic version of Papaco, and it says this is the Blu-ray version. I don't know what it was about that scene, but it was really freaking funny. I love when they give those super detailed, almost SpongeBob freeze-framey shots, if you know what I'm talking about. I know that's a weird way to describe it, but that's the feeling that I get from it, and it works really well in this style of comedy. Aside from that, there was a fishing sequence which I thought was really, really great, where Pee-Pee-Me is fishing and the fish aren't biting, and then immediately we cut to this like shot of down under the water where Papaco's in a fish suit, and then it just immediately hard cuts away to the next shot before you even have a chance to really fully understand what's going on. Like I said, they just throw it at you non-stop. And the episode ends in another creepy way. These episodes always seem to end with these weird, long, lingering shots of Papaco just doing something ridiculous. In this one, it's playing a video game in the dark. And it's funny, but it's also eerie and kind of unsettling. I don't know. Like I said, this series does a great job of being funny and surprisingly horrifying all at the same time. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Pop Team Epic? Really, it was just ridiculous. That's the only way to put it. Like I said, this is a really hard show to review simply because just the actual style of it and the fact that a lot of it is just so cultural. You know, it's hard for my mindset to actually sort of translate it. What I will say is it is funny visually speaking, and it's the type of show that I think is worth rewatching, if only to see all the funny sequences. The good thing about these episodes is they kind of force you to watch the episode twice, so you're going to see a lot of really cool details. I didn't even talk about like half of the segments in the episode. The one at the beginning where the super depressed guy and Papaco tries to help him by showing him a Pop Team Epic manga, which he doesn't like, which immediately makes him a hater. It's just ridiculous. You can tell they have a lot of fun making this show, if anything, and that's why Pop Team Epic is definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of anime and comedy. Otherwise, steer clear. It's just basically more of what you'd expect from the previous episodes. But still, I like this one. I still think episode 2 is still my favorite. I don't know why that one just sticks out in my mind so much. I thought it was just the most well-rounded of the bunch, but I loved the opening sequence of this episode and all of just the funny, realistic parts, especially that Blu-ray version. So, 4 out of 5 for me. Another super funny episode of Pop Team Epic. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, your favorite sequences, what you thought was funny about this episode, and what you hope to see from the rest of the adventures of Papaco and PP.Me. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.